Okay, so today I'm talking about classroom assessment decision making and performance assessments in the classroom. And the one major thing that I took from classroom assessment decision making is to be clear about the learning objective you're assessing, because if you're not clear, then your students aren't going to be clear and it's just going to be a big mess. And then the second part of that was to be sure the assessment techniques you select match your learning goal. So you have to make sure that everything that you do matches your learning goal, which is pretty much going with the standards, or it's going to be detrimental to your students and detrimental to you. Number 3 is be sure it serves needs of the learners for each learning objective. If, say, that Timmy can't read as well as Susie, so you have to make accommodations so that it'll help Timmy and Susie at the same time, so that one's not behind and one's not ahead. Number 4 is use multiple indicators of performance for each learning objective whenever possible. And number 5 is when you interpret or you help one of your students interpret the results of the assessments, you take the limitations of such results into account. And now on to performance assessments. What is a performance assessment? A performance assessment requires students to apply their knowledge and skills in order to solve problems, create original products, and to demonstrate particular skills. Why should you use them? Well, a highly effective teacher supports the process of meaningful learning by creating ambitious and meaningful tasks that reflect how knowledge is used in the field. And performance assessments use rigorous and relevant tasks, and they are super engaging for the student. How do you assess performance assessments? Collaboration is a really good thing that you can use, and your students can work together. You can do group projects, study projects, and you can assess them while they're working together and see how they're doing within the group or how they're studying together. And then checklists are another thing, and checklists are an effective formative assessment strategy to monitor specific skills, behaviors, or dispositions of individual or all students in the class. They show students how to organize their task into sequential steps that will lead to the completion of a complex task. So I'm one of the students that I like to see the bigger picture first and then get the little parts. So if I have a checklist, I can go down the checklist and see that, oh, we're going to do this. I can do this because I know how to do it. And if there's a part that I'm not clear on, then I can ask, but I still have all the parts at the same time. And they help manage time. I'm a firm believer in checklists. I love to be organized. They provide a quick and easy way to describe many of the skills, criteria, and behaviors prior to the final test, and peers can use checklists to assess other classmates. How can teachers use checklists? They can focus on specific behaviors, thinking skills, social skills like observations, writing skills, and speaking skills. Like if you're watching a group of students and you just want to make sure that they're all being nice to each other, you can make sure that they're respectfully talking and that they're staying on task and not varying from the task that they're supposed to be doing. And then the last thing that I have to talk about within a performance assessment is rubrics. And rubrics refer to a scoring guide or scoring dimension used to evaluate the quality of the student's constructed responses, usually related to a performance. You have to have evaluative criteria to extinguish acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Rubrics help students know what is expected, defined as a set of rules, and they should match tasks as well as standards. I also really like rubrics because after you do a checklist, then you can take a rubric to it and the students can see, oh, well, I didn't do this right, but I did this right. And then they can go back and apply that work and see how they've done. And rubrics also, they're a really good learning tool within the classroom, as are checklists. Those are my two favorites, which I also like portfolios, because that's a really good thing for students to be able to use, but I didn't include that in this screencast. But rubrics are a really interesting thing for students to be able to learn and to use. And as a teacher, I think that it's a really good idea to use checklists and rubrics. So that's all of my screencast for today on, let me go back to the top, on classroom assessment, decision making, and performance assessments.